Struggling with hip impingement and wondering if stretching is your friend or foe? Well, today we're diving deep into the world of stretching for hip impingement. And the truth is not so black or white. Hip impingement occurs when the hip joint and socket abnormally interact. The real question is, will stretching alleviate or exacerbate this condition? Recent research and my practical experience shows that stretching and hip impingement can yield mixed results. While some studies suggest that regular stretching can reduce symptoms, others indicate it may make things worse. Ultimately, every person is different, so what works for one person might not work for another. That said, as someone who has hip impingement, who's worked with thousands of people with hip impingement, there are 4 keys to stretching that may help you. Key number 1 is, before we even think about stretching, let's think massage. AKA, you need to roll out that trusty foam roller or another self-massage implement. The reason is, self-massage before stretching makes things feel better. Here's one example of how you can do it correctly for a commonly tight muscle, the quads. So the first thing we're gonna do is use a foam roller to roll out our quads. The basic position looks like this. You're gonna lay on the ground, put the roller on your quads, come down to a plank position, and start to just roll from just above the kneecap down to the top of the thigh. You can slightly lean to one side, or I can lean to the left, massage that side. If you have any kind of back pain, you should be careful to keep your abs engaged so you don't sag into an arch and just kind of hang out on your joints. With that said, if your back is perfectly fine and comfortable, sometimes changing the pelvic position can change how the massage feels and make it better. Key number 2 is, mindfulness is money. On my journey out of hip impingement, I sometimes stretched mindfully and sometimes unmindfully. The difference between the two became radically apparent to me when I started stretching while on long 10, 20, 30, and 45-day meditation retreats. When I was stretching on these long mindfulness retreats, the quality and effectiveness of my stretching increased 2 or 3-fold. In your day-to-day life, you can get similar benefits by simply slowing down, tuning in, and stretching mindfully. That means turning off the TV, turning off the distractions, and paying attention to what you're feeling in your body. Key number 3 is, don't be fooled by the deeper is better myth. Sometimes less is more when it comes to stretching. Even though the bendy yoga girls make it seem that deeper is better when it comes to hip impingement, that's not necessarily the truth. Deeper into a stretch will not necessarily make you feel better. I got to a place with my hip impingement where, in spite of my bad bone shapes and labral tears, I could get into the full front, side, and pancake splits. But I didn't necessarily feel better. I felt fine, but not optimal. I realized that I didn't need that much range of motion for optimal health or to do the sports or activities that I love, like frisbee, running, and weightlifting. Each of those activities has a moderate range of motion demand. So in my case, more range was not better, and deeper into the stretch was not necessary. Key number 4 is build strength at every length. What I mean by this is to build strength in the entire range of motion that you have. Don't think of stretching as only relax and turn off your muscles. That's why when you see me dropping into the splits suspended between 2 chairs, you see that there is a relaxation component, but there's also a huge strength component. And this doesn't apply just to circus tricks like the Van Damme splits, but to all stretches. Here's a quick demo on how you can build strength at every length.
The stretch that gives you the most bang for your buck is the loaded front splits. So here you can see me with my front foot elevated. You could be having ski poles in your hands or chairs on each side of you or something to balance, but I love this balance between flexibility and also stability and balance that this gives you. This obviously is pretty advanced, and it's pretty much like max effort weightlifting. This isn't kind of passive, relax into the stretching. This is building strength at end range. This is end range strength training. And I found that this is the kind of stretching that cements your flexibility in the most. So obviously it's hard work, but when your muscles know that they have strength in these extreme end ranges, then they keep those ranges for longer.
Here's the final verdict on stretching for hip impingement. Stretching for hip impingement can help or hurt depending on how you do it. Avoid these pitfalls to stay on the safe side. Skipping tissue work, that's a big no-no. Mindless stretching is risky business. If your mind isn't engaged, your hip may suffer. Going too deep in your stretches can lead to more harm than good. Aim for comfortable stretches, not deep stretches. What about you? Have you made any of these mistakes? Let me know in the comments. If you need help with your hips, check out our at-home Healthy Hips program we call the FAI Fix. If you need more personalized one-on-one attention, apply for our VIP mentorship program, where you'll work directly with a trained hip specialist to solve your problems. And as always, please remember, you're just one step away from building or rebuilding your perfect body.